Welcome to MTMG's IT Roundtable, where we bring the power of human connections to the tech world. Our experts become part of your team, so whatever tech problem is keeping you up at night, we can help you solve it.
Today, we're especially proud to welcome a remarkable new voice to the MTMG family, Jana Sellers. Jana joins us with over 15 years of experience in unlocking strategic value from customer and market data. She's helped global brands turn complexity into clarity, and today she's sharing her insights on building out a customer strategy roadmap leveraging data. Jana, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Joe. I'm excited to chat today. Customer strategy is a question I'm asked about quite a bit.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to learning about it too. So, outstanding stuff. Why do so many B2B tech companies struggle to build a strong customer strategy?
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. It's really a simple answer, and it's an afterthought. They don't think about it. They develop their product roadmap, and they put their sales initiatives together, and then they just assume once they hand it off to customer success, so they're going to catch it, and everything's going to go fine. But you have to actively design the customer experience at every stage. If you're not, you're missing renewals, loyalty, expansion, and you're actually being more reactive than integrating this into your go-to-market plan.
So, Jana, what does the strong customer strategy actually look like in practice?
I think of it as like 4 different components. The first one is smart segmentation. You can't just look at revenue and company size anymore. That's irrelevant. You've got to really look at buyer behavior, product maturity, the life cycle stage. There's different components that need to go into smart segmentation, but those are some of the key ones coming up today. You also need to look at voice of the customer integration. So you need to have real feedback loops that actually get influenced into product, marketing, and go-to-market. Because if you're not creating feedback loops and actually measuring them, then it's just noise. The third one is aligning your customer journey mapping. So post-sale teams, they need to really drive adoption, value, and advocacy. And if they're not, and they're just putting in support tickets, you're not really creating a customer experience. You're just being reactive instead of proactive. And last is clear metrics. Net Promoter Score has always been very popular, but the market's changed. You've got to look at adoption rate, depth, retention, velocity, and how you're going to service that pipeline. So being very clear on your metrics is the last thing that's important.
Mm-hmm. I think you really make an important point too, that it's not just about Net Promoter Score. That was an interesting concept at one point, but there's so much more data you can leverage now to give you a more holistic or more full view of that customer's experience. That's really important. So that does lead me to something, because I've seen this at previous organizations where they just focused on Net Promoter Score or just focused on help desk CSAT, but nothing else. What other common mistakes have you seen vendors make when trying to scale customer strategy?
They're really taking and copying and pasting their sales playbook. They're not, they're taking customer strategy and they're just pushing the product. They don't actually know what success looks like to the customer and building a roadmap from there. So I've seen companies automate like their QBRs and send surveys, but they're not really taking personalization and insights to the next level. And that's where you need to really define what success looks like with key metrics. Yes, you can have some scalable products or some scalable metrics, but it must be rooted in relevance.
I think that's incredibly important. I know my last organization, all they kept talking about was, we need to make this scalable. We need to automate a lot of this stuff. And I kept saying, but we don't have the means to capture all the right pieces of information to give us an accurate picture.
Right.
And automating it is just going to make it faster, bad information.
Yes.
To quote one of our other experts.
Yes.
So that always was really frustrating to me. It's not just about making it automated. It's about giving you automated information that actually means something.
Right. Because if you're not measuring customer strategy like revenue, then you're missing the mark.
Exactly. Well, sticking with your real life experiences, do you have an example where you had a customer strategy that unlocked real business impact?
Yes. I was working with a Fortune 500 tech firm and who was struggling with their strategy post sale. And we looked at their journey map and we saw a critical drop off period 90 days after onboarding. And they were delivering features but real no value. So we redesigned the onboarding. We focused on business impacts that actually created success and measurable KPIs for the customer. They needed to know what success looked like for them. And then we envisioned the journey and built out some product feedback loops that were, sustainable metrics. And we measured it again. And within 6 months, they'd seen a 20% increase in renewals and their client satisfaction scores increased 10 points.
That's pretty sharp.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When you actually measure and put metrics, valid metrics around success and what that looks like for the customer, you see a good impact.
I think the most important point you just said, though, is about what's valuable to the client.
Yes.
You can have 100 different metrics, but if it's not the piece that the client really cares about, what's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I completely agree. So if a company listening wants to start fixing this today, what's the first step they should take?
Well, you need to get really honest about your customer journey, end-to-end, onboarding, renewal, expansion. Where are you proactive versus reactive? Because you don't want to deliver effort. You need to actually deliver results. Like I said, it's got to be measured like revenue. So then you need to get sales, success, product, and marketing in a room and define what success looks like. You need to build out those feedback loops and metrics to support it. So if you're not actually measuring the customer journey like revenue, then it's not a tech stack problem. It's a strategy problem.
That does lead me to something. How do you recommend teams assess whether their existing data is usable for decision making? Meaning, if they have only CSAT or they only have Net Promoter Score, are there any tools they can have to say, well, is this really giving us the full impact or the full vision of what our client is facing on their journey?
You can look at this through additional data sets that you have internally. And what I have found is a lot of companies have information that they're just not utilizing and they don't know where it exists. So you can actually have valuable data that's maybe resting in various data warehouses. You also really need to take a good look at your CRM and what information are you collecting there and what are the sales teams putting in, what are the customer success teams putting in. Because what I've found is a lot of disjointed information and they actually have the data. It just needs to be brought together in a common place. And of course, there's always third-party data sets that can help you utilize this and get it to where it needs to be. So
I think you really made an important point though. If you know where to look, most companies actually have their data.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. I think that's where having a conversation with someone like you is really critical for them to help understand what they are already capturing that they could leverage. So I think that's really important. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's that question. You don't know what you don't know. And that's why somebody who's actually lived that journey with several companies and can leverage on experience of what has happened and what others have done in various markets. That's where I bring the value, is that I can actually say, okay, now what about this? Do you have this? Is it connected here? And where do you find all those hidden data points?
This actually relates back to previous podcasts that we've had where companies have data in disparate places. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. So they start to incorporate some AI-based tools, which will help them find that data that's so valuable to them.
Yes, I've actually seen quite a few small, medium-sized companies bring in a software product that helps them find all those data points. and put it into one application or one data set so that they can easily draw into that. So there is a good, easy solution for this to the AI tools coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, it's funny, Joe. I was thinking the exact same thing. Several podcasts ago, we met with a friend of ours, Andy Rossick, who has a company, Uninvited, and this is exactly what they do. He said, look, it doesn't matter if it's a spreadsheet, if it's a database, it's a CRM tool, it's your finance tool, whatever. We can build a way to connect to it, but then give you one interface to allow you to ask some questions in natural language, because we use the AI tool to take that thought, that question, and then you leverage all those different data sets. So really important stuff, but looking to see where it is. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just to expand on that, it's the companies that take the initiative to do that are going to leap forward against their competition. Mm-hmm. It's those who don't combine all those data sets into one or use AI to figure out what's happening. They're going to get left behind very quickly.
Yep. Very important stuff. And it's now our favorite time of the podcast to do the more than mere genius questions. Yes, we do love our branding. And we are here to learn just a little bit more about Jana the person. So outside of work, what's an activity that you're passionate about?
I have found after I lost my job in 2023, I dedicated a lot of time to what does it take to interview, resumes, LinkedIn, what do you need to do? And I found a passion for helping others because that time of my life, it was very confusing and you're learning a lot and you're dissecting a lot. And I'm like, I don't want others to feel how I have felt. So I've actually built a very strong network in the Dallas-Fort Worth market in helping communities and local networking groups teach others on what to do. When you lose your job, what's the first things you need to be focused on? So I am a part of the leadership team at the South Lake Focus Group, and I'm also a leader in what we call our Jumpstart. So I present every week to career finders and helping them get to the next level. And that has been, I just love doing it. Love helping others. And when you see them come in and they're lost and they're confused and they don't know what to do, I hope that I'm there to provide them some comfort and direction.
That's great. That's what our company's all about. Name one book or podcast that has inspired you.
Yeah, that's hard because I love reading. I read a lot of books and I always listen to all sorts of podcasts. But the one that has meant the most to me has been James Clear and his Atomic Habits, because it's really, this resonates for me. It's just the 1% every day, doing a little bit every day, and that makes you better. You see your growth long-term happen. So for me, that's the one book that I keep handy and I keep referencing. And I have found when I'm trying to change a habit, you just put when I need to take my vitamins, if I have them in a special location, I will remember to take them and stay on track. So thanks to Atomic Habits, I learned that.
Interesting. I think, Joe, if I remember correctly, when we had our conversation with Kathy Mazza of UMA, one of the things she talked about at the end was, if you do one more thing today,
that's right.
If you learn one more thing, if you do that one extra step today, over the year, now you've done 365 more things than you thought you could.
Yeah.
So It is a very interesting way to look at it. So I think that's fascinating. So who was an important mentor for you at any point in your life?
I've been blessed with having lots of several mentors. And I would say most recently, my mentor, his name is Pete. We work together at the South Lake Focus Group, just always encouraging me, asking me to get outside my comfort zone, take on new challenges. And it's nice when you have somebody who believes in you so strongly.
Great. Which talent that you do not have would you most like to have?
That's a good question. And Paul, you had actually mentioned singing. I am the worst singer ever, but I always laugh with my kids and I'm like, when I get to heaven, I'm going to sound like Mariah Carey and I will be singing all the time. So for me, that's a talent I wish I had because I love singing. If you hear me sing, it's terrible.
I find that hard to believe, but I do think my wife and I used to run a community theater group, and there was the bigger ones around that where, people could go, but ours was more of the, I hate to say this, but the island of misfit toys. We were the people that just either had never done it or just wanted to give it a shot, but weren't necessarily the most talented, but they gave it so much heart. They had so much fun doing it. And even if there was a little bit of an off note here or there or whatever, it was so fun to be a part of. It was so great to see that. So I love that. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Well, I am a Texas girl and I love Texas. Want Texas to always be my home base, but I want to travel to all sorts of places. Traveling, I love traveling. So Texas could be my home base, but I need to be able to travel and go see the world in all different sorts of places.
Okay. What profession other than yours would you love to try?
So I always wanted to be a fashion designer. When I was younger, it was all about fashion and designing. My goal was to be a buyer, where you would go and go to tour all the fashion shows, and then you would buy fashion for your store or whatever. Yeah. That's what I thought I would grow up to be.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, but technology is actually more of my heart now.
Well, that's a good thing. For us, at least. Who is your favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? No, I don't know if you would say this is a superhero or not, but Walt Disney, I feel like, is a superhero, and that he had a dream and he fought for it. And myself and my girls, we are huge Disney fans, and every time we go to Disney, it brings so much magic to our lives. So I feel like a man who can design and implement that, he's a superhero to me because he never gave up and he sacrificed a lot to make it happen.
Well, if he was really a superhero, he'd break out of that Frozen thing that he's in right now.
Yeah.
Pop up and...
Yeah.
What is your favorite sound?
River. The trickling river. I love water. So even if it's the ocean, river, lake, anything water related, that's my favorite sound.
That's a popular one in mine too. So what is your favorite song when you're stressed or need a lift?
I can't say I have a favorite song because I love so many genres, but when I need a lift, I listen to 70s disco music. Nothing gets you like more pumped or more excited than that for me. So for me, that's it. I even love some classic Elvis, and yeah.
Excellent.
I have to be honest, my daughter, my wife, and my granddaughter absolutely love ABBA. So several days a week, that's on the speakers in the house somewhere. Whether it's Dancing Queen or Fernando or Take a Chance on Me, you name it, they're just constantly doing it. So I hear
Dancing Queen, that's a good one. Yep. I love that one.
In our grand finale, what is the one thing you most want to be known for after you are gone?
For me, it's want to know that I spread kindness, joy, and happiness through the world, and that I don't need to leave a big mark on the world. People who knew me, that they were, hey, I'm glad I got to know her.
I think you're selling yourself a little short, that people aren't just glad they know. You have shown through this exactly why we're so glad to be working with you. Not only do you have a great head on your shoulders, not only do you have great experience, but you're truly a good person. And
thank you.
That means so much to us as an organization, Joe. Well, except for Joe.
That's right. I don't care.
In all seriousness, though, it is what we founded this company on. And I think it's so wonderful that we met you. And I'm so glad that we're going to be working together. So
me too. I'm excited to be a part of the team.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So that brings us to the end of today's conversation. Thank you for joining us. If today's discussion resonated with you, please consider giving us a 5-star review. Your feedback not only supports our show, but also helps others find us. Thank you so much for listening to MTMG's IT Roundtable. We look forward to bringing you more conversations soon. Until then, take care, and know our team is always here to help. Sláinte.
MTMG, guidance that empowers.